This is Yair Davidiy from Brit-Am, movement of the 10 tribes of Israel. We have shown how the lost 10 tribes were destined to be divided, to divide off from Judah. There were originally 12 tribes of Israel. 10 of these tribes split apart. They created their own kingdom, their own individual, independent entity, their own nation. And after several hundred years, they were conquered by the Assyrians, taken into exile, and they lost their identity. They lost knowledge of who their ancestors were and where they came from. We know that this happened, and we also know that there was a divine purpose for it. We are now about to discuss what perhaps this divine purpose was. There were 12 tribes of Israel. Why were they exiled? What was the purpose of this exile? It was prophesied that the lost 10 tribes would in the end times be together in certain areas, and this is what happened. We have identified the lost 10 tribes with Western peoples, especially the English-speaking peoples. We have proven that a good portion from the tribe of Joseph came to dominate them, and that they have the characteristics of Joseph, and that in biblical terminology they represent all of the lost 10 tribes. Joseph is a representative prototype for the lost 10 tribes in general. And Joseph, you will be remembered, was taken down into Egypt. He lost his identity. He became the effective ruler of the country, and he saved a great many people. He saved the whole nation of Egypt, and he also saved his brother Israelites. So in a sense, Joseph is a prototype for all of the tribes of Israel, for all of those tribes who got lost. We may perhaps understand what happened by seeing what Jewish religious thinkers such as Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook thought on the subject. They said in effect that originally the original plan, as if to say, was that the tribes of Israel should receive the Torah, keep the Torah, and that they should also elevate all of humanity, that they should bring humanity up to a greater level of civilization, that they should conquer many nations, that they should be the most powerful country on earth, and that they should keep the Torah, and that they should bring all of mankind forward. Due to the situation, due to their internal psychological circumstances, due to the surroundings and the level of the nations around them, they were not able to do this. There was an inattention, and so as if to say, Plan B went into effect. Plan B was that the tribes of Israel should split apart. The two separate tasks of the Israelite nation should be accepted by the different sections. Joseph was to be the civilizing influence, the influence that would civilize all of humanity and bring forward the progressive development of mankind. Judah, on the other hand, was to develop the Torah, to keep the Torah, and to develop his own inner spiritual progression until the time should come for him to return to his land and to re-establish himself in the land of Israel, as he is now doing. The Jews are Judah, and they are preparing the way for the other tribes to come after them. Judah, as if to say, as indicated by the prophets, is setting up the infrastructure for all of the tribes of Israel to eventually return. Judah, at this present stage, is going through a process of reconciling his spiritual identity with his spiritual political one. And he is also, in this sense, setting the stage, preparing the way for Joseph to do the same. Joseph eventually will also have to reconcile himself with his spiritual destiny. It said that the lost 10 tribes would be a light to the nations. It says so in Isaiah 42:6 and 49:6. The lost 10 tribes would be a light unto the nations. Or Goyim, as it says in Hebrew. Or Goyim, meaning the nations or the pagan peoples. Isaiah 49:5-12 speaks of the 10 tribes in the latter days. The tribes of Jacob will have an enlightening influence over the Gentiles. They shall be a Brit-Am, or covenant of peoples. They will be located at the ends of the earth, meaning the geographical extremities of the continental masses. They will have colonized relatively undeveloped lands, and they will be found to the north and west of the land of Israel and also in the land of Sinim, meaning Australia and New Zealand. In future talks, we will discuss this and bring biblical proofs, and this is also confirmed by secular studies in history, mythology, linguistics, and related areas of academic research. And we will show this, and we have shown it. You may go to our website www.Brit-Am.org, Brit-Am.org, and you will find a lot of material, and also the books that we have published on this matter, and some where we go into these things in great detail. It also says that the blessings to the lost tribes, to the tribes of Israel, were unconditional. It was said that the lost tribes would rule over other people. See Genesis 27:29, 48:19. There would be a world power, Numbers 24:7-9. Micah chapter 5:7-9. They would rule the waves, Numbers 23:7. They would control all major strategic areas. See Genesis 22:17, 24:60. They would have become the richest and mightiest nation entities on earth. Genesis 49:25. All of this and more they were to do in order to bring the Gentile nations forward, to elevate the rest of humanity, as to some degree they have done. Thank you very much. This is Yair Davidiy from New Bambi Brit-Am Broadcasting, Israel.